Hello and welcome everybody to this week's Global R&D. Thanks a lot for joining. My name is David and I lead the consensus team and the message routing team here at Dfinity, and I'm your MC today. And I have an exciting agenda that I'm gonna present to you. First off, we have an update on metrics by Kyle.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. It feels like it was only a few weeks ago we had the beautiful sunny day in Zurich. I guess sunny afternoon, actually, back when we celebrated the third anniversary of ICP. And yet we are now staring at the fourth anniversary already, coming up before our next Global R&D YouTube version. So I thought I'd give a quick review of like what's changed since these two dates and look at it high level for the network. If we go to the next slide. All right, so going from left to right, the granddaddy of all metrics in our world is ICP burned. This is the truest way to measure basically the value that people are getting from the network. And or you could do cycles burn depending on which your preference. I wanted to do ICP burn this time. And since we last had our anniversary, we've seen 1.5 million ICP burned. That's over a 2,500% increase from the year before. Now, the pessimists in the crowd will say, well, that's mostly just like the proof of work apps, the burning apps like Bob and Burn, and there's been a handful of them. And so that's fair criticism. But even if you extract out those applications, we still see massive growth of what you would call like same app burn and that kind of stuff. So somewhere on the scale of like 300 to 500%, even taking out the effects of the apps that are burning for the sake of burning. So phenomenal growth for the network. And the way I most easily understand that as we move to the middle of this slide is there's two things that support network adoption. There's new applications launching, and then there's growth of existing applications. So in terms of new applications launching, you see that as one of the best way to measure that is new GitHub repos that are open sourced. So we can basically find and track repos when they get launched and open source. And we've seen over 4,000 repos launched. That's a 19% increase since the prior year. That should come as no surprise for anyone. If you've been following along with like the Electro Capital report, which is the go-to report, right, where ICP is the second fastest growing blockchain from a development community standpoint, and we expect to be first in the next annual metric. And then as one easy way to do, existing app growth, internet identity creations. Now, this isn't a great measurement for users on the internet computer because obviously there's many different wallets and apps don't even have to have an authentication method. But you can see over 250,000 new IIs created. That's a 14% growth versus year 3. And then finally, just some other metrics I want to point out. In terms of governance, I think that this is maybe an area where we need to have some improvement on. We had 10 million new ICP staked on the NNS. That's kind of an estimate because it is hard to track fully new stake versus dissolving off. However, that's down 45% from year 3. So we've seen slower adoption of ICP going to the NNS. And then in terms of the chain fusion narrative, we've seen 1.7 million CK token transactions. That's more than a doubling since the prior year. A lot of that growth comes from CKBTC is by far the most adopted CK token. But now we're starting to see broader adoption with USDT and USDC. And hopefully we'll continue with CK Soul and that kind of stuff continues. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat and I'll give them an answer. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Really motivating to see all this growth across the board. Nice to hear. I see there's one question in the chat regarding the link to this report you were referring to. So maybe if you can follow up there with the link, this would be great. And next up, we have Yusuf on recent changes in the NNS dApp. Take it away.
Yes, thank you, David. Yes, I'm Yusuf from the governance team, and today I wanted to present you 3 features that were recently released in the NSDApp with the goal of improving the user experience and also engagement. Next one. Yes, thanks. So let's start with the engagement. One of the issues that we identify within the NNSDApp is that we have new SNS projects coming, and not all our users were aware of them, right? Either they have to go explicitly to the launchpad within the app, or visit the forum, or be active in social. And we thought that, and the problem with this, right, of course, is that we are missing opportunities for community participation, right? Early this year, we released this new page, the portfolio page, that's now becoming more like a landing page, where we introduce a new set of cards with the idea of kind of like highlight these new projects coming in. And we can see here on the right these 2 types of cards, right? The first one is for proposals for new SNS projects, where users can easily see how much the voting that has been coming so far, how close they are to reach the goal, and they can quickly jump through the link. Additionally, we also have a card to show for ongoing swap, right? So they also have a feeling from the landing page, right, of how much the project has raised. We didn't have so many projects since we launched this feature, but the early data already hints, right, that we have an increase on traffic from users going into these projects. Next one, please. Yes, thanks. The second feature was targeting more like a user experience improvement. Another problem within the NSDApp, right, is that in our checkout flows, and by checkout I mean when a user, for example, wants to send a ICP or any other token, or they want to stake, or they want to split an Aeron, they have to introduce an amount, right, in a token amount, a crypto token amount. And of course, this is not easy, right, to relate to the real world. How much is this token amount? And this was bringing additional problems, right? Not just that this flow was tedious and was slow, but also that sometimes we can have errors, right? Users might enter a value thinking that's some other amount. And to avoid that, we introduce kind of like almost like a real-time fiat conversion. So as users start typing within the input field for the amount, they can see below how much in dollars this amount is. This supports ICP and all the tokens that the NNSDApp currently supports. It should reduce, right, the cognitive load for these flows, and additionally decrease the time that users spend on these flows, and also how many users drop from these flows. And the last one, yes, another user experience improvement feature. It's called this common palette, and these components have become almost like a standard in most modern web applications, right? You can go to our own dashboard, and you can see there that by pressing Command/, you will have this pop-up where you can type stuff and you can interact with it through the keyboard. Other applications like Jira, like WhatsApp, already expose this kind of components that by pressing again Command and usually K, you would have this keyboard-driven navigation. And then in the step, we wanted to do the same. So we introduced a couple of weeks ago our own command palette that you can trigger by pressing Command K on Mac or Control K on Windows, Linux. And you can see here from the screenshot, right, a couple of operations or a couple of actions that you can perform, like navigating between the pages, and also you can change the theme, you can log in, log out, and even copy the principal. Fun fact about this feature is that was launched as an Easter egg. That means that 1 week before Easter, we announced it within the proposal, hey, we have this new feature, you need to search for the secret keyboard combination, right? And we had there some engagement from the community. And last week after, we reveal the secret combination, and waiting for feedback on the users on how they are using it. I think I still have a bit of time. If I can share my screen to quickly demo all these features in 1 minute, then they can see it within the context.
Sure.
Perfect. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks. Yes, so let's start with the first one with these cards. Here I'm using my development environment because we don't have any ongoing launches. Otherwise, I would have done it in production. As you can see here, right within the portfolio page, the landing page entry point for the users, they can see about these 3 fake projects, right, how they are going, and for the different ones. Also on mobile, we can see that it takes like a very prominent space. So every single user that lands should be aware of these ongoing projects. Then for the command palette, I'm pressing Command K, and here we have this list of actions. I can navigate, I can change my theme, I can log in. Of course, this is navigation that we have to do within the app. And the last feature is, yes, when we want to send an amount, right, before we would input the amount in ICP or any other token, and that would be it. Now we have here information below about how much in dollars this is. We can go to the max, and also if we go beyond the max, then we will, of course, have an error notifying the users that they cannot do that. That's it from my side. Thank you, and back to you, David.
Thanks a lot. Really nice updates. I'm already a heavy user of the command palette, so really great to use. Thanks a lot. And with that, to the next topic, namely an update on the DX roadmap by Raymond.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to give you a small update on what we've been doing with as far as the developer experience, and more specifically with the SDK team. So you can go to the next slide, please. First thing, some of the recent updates. So we've released a new version of DFX. It has improved logs, clearer error messages, and now it defaults to Pocket IC. So we've been using Pocket IC quite a bit for local development and for unit testing. It's been included in DFX for a while, but it's now the default, and we're going to be removing the replica from DFX in the next release. We've also added telemetry. This is going to help us get some metrics, and so that we have more information about how the tool is being used and where it could be improved. We've also have a new release of the Rust CDK that was released last week. Obviously, there's a typo in my slides, but some of the main features here are that it supports the new call API. There's also support for WASM64 module compilation, and also some improvements for, I guess, the user experience. So basically the APIs have been made a little bit more consistent and a little bit easier to use. On the Motoko side, we have a new base library, also with the goal of providing a more consistent API for some of the common data structures. We've reduced the memory usage for enhanced orthogonal persistence, and we're also working on a release of new Motoko docs, and those are in the works, and they should be coming pretty soon. Next slide. So now looking ahead, so longer term, some of our priorities are, we're working on a new ICP command line interface. We're going to introduce canister environment variables, and we're working on standardizing the agent behavior. I'm going to go into some of these in a little bit more detail. Next slide. So for the ICP CLI, we're looking to refresh DFX. So DFX has quite a bit of baggage, and the goal here is to give like a more consistent and improved developer experience. So this is an opportunity for us to deprecate some of the features of DFX with minimal disruptions. Some of the goals that we want to achieve is that, to install with some standard packet managers and keep it updated through standard packet managers. We want to decouple the CLI from how the local network launches, and also from the Motoko toolchain. So today, those three things are quite intertwined, and it's not particularly helpful for if you want to support things like Utopia and potentially different versions of the the local network. And also, we don't want to necessarily keep you tied to a specific version of the Motoko compiler. And we're also looking to provide stable interfaces so that the CLI can be extended. We want to make it run on both ARM and AMD CPUs. Hopefully, we are able to make things work on natively on Windows as well. And we want to introduce support for Dockerized networks. So this would allow teams to share like a Docker-based network that has already some state, so that it's easy to get up and running and developing locally. Next slide. So canister environment variables. This is we want to introduce that concept to canisters. So right now, there's no generic way to inject context-dependent configuration. You either have to build that into your init args, and also there's a lot of things that come baked in, like canisters IDs into the when you're building them. So the idea here is that we'd have similar, something similar to standard environment variables, where the canister will be able to access key value pairs from its environment. And what this would allow us to do is to build dApps one time and then deploy them many times with different configurations. So this would be helpful for deploying to utopias, and potentially like a marketplace where a developer could basically build their app and then have somebody acquire the app and then spin it up for themselves. And then next slide. And then for agent standardization, so we maintain I guess two major agents, so the agent JS and then the Rust agent, and over the years their behavior has kind of diverged. So what we're trying to do is to standardize the behavior and make sure that some things are consistent across the two. So for example, retry behavior, the error names, and then building a test suite that we can put both agents through, so that we know that they're behaving the same way. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Raymond. Exciting stuff on the horizon for devs, and also exciting stuff that already launched. So really nice to see. And the next topic is about ICP Ninja.
Hey everyone, I'm Elias. I'm part of ICP Ninja, and I'd like to give you some quick updates on what has happened recently and show you some statistics, usage statistics. Now, for those of you who don't know what ICP Ninja is, it's a way to instantly code and deploy an ICP application within a few minutes, all in your browser. So you can head to icp.ninja, and there you can find a set of curated examples you can choose from, and you can make some modifications and deploy them and see the changes live on the mainnet. And all of that requires zero setup, so there's no need to download any tools. It's all contained in the website. ICP Ninja launched about 6 months ago, and since then we've delivered a few improvements over the months. Now, most recently, I want to give you some small updates. So we've done a hackathon with the ICP Hub in Indonesia, where we had over 300 participants, and we totaled in over 40 project submissions. Now, why do I tell you about this hackathon? Well, what's special here, everybody used from start to finish ICP Ninja to develop their application. So this served for two things for us. So first, we gathered some valuable feedback from new developers in the ecosystem So that was really valuable. And secondly, it put our systems a bit under a test, under some load. More on that later. Now, another thing we did recently is that we moved all the examples that you can see in ICP Ninja into the Dfinity examples repo. So the examples repository is a place where you can find a bunch of examples, how you develop on ICP in different languages. And now you can also find the examples we have in ICP Ninja there. And that also facilitates the community or people within the foundation to contribute more projects to ICP Ninja. So you just create a PR there, and then you can see that example on the ICP Ninja landing page. Another thing we did is we migrated the Motoko Playground shared examples to ICP Ninja. So if you click on a Motoko Playground link now, it will forward you to ICP Ninja, where you can find all the projects that you might have shared in the past. Then, and that was actually a request that we got from multiple users. They wanted to work on multiple projects at the same time in ICP Ninja, in multiple tabs. So we've implemented that. And so now there's no need to use different browsers to work on multiple projects with ICP Ninja anymore. Now, while we've delivered those small improvements under the hood, we're working on some bigger changes. So we're integrating an entirely new build and deployment architecture at the moment. We're working closely with the Caffeine team there to deliver a faster and a more reliable build process. And our users will benefit from that in a bunch of ways. So first of all, the build and deployment feedback will be improved. So the error messages will be more precise. Users will be able to use any Rust package or any Node package they want to use. This was previously not possible because of security implications that might have. But with this new infrastructure, that will be enabled. And then you can imagine users can build much, much more inside ICP Ninja. And this new infrastructure will also allow us to roll out a new button. It's called Open in ICP Ninja. And that's a button that you can put in your README on a GitHub project, for example. And if that's an ICP project, so if it uses DFX essentially to compile, you can put that button in the README, and anybody going onto GitHub looking at your project, they can click that button. The browser will take them to ICP Ninja, and with just a click, they can deploy and play with the canister live. And the second thing we're working on right now is a way to permanently deploy canisters from ICP Ninja. So right now we have a 20-minute limit on how long your canister stays live. And after those 20 minutes, you have to redeploy your canister. But we are hearing from many users that they would like to permanently deploy to the mainnet. And so we're working on what I think is a great solution there to enable that from within ICP Ninja. Now let's take a look at some statistics. So here you can see the active users in the last month. You can see we had 2.8 thousand active users. That translates to roughly 100 active users per day. Now, if you are using an ad blocker, you will probably not show up here, so the actual numbers might be slightly higher than that even. Then here you can see the number of deployments that we got. So that's every time somebody clicks the deploy button, meaning that a canister will be filled with a new WASM. And you can see we had around 11,000 deployments here. So on the order of 400 daily deployments. You can see a huge spike there. And you've guessed it, that was the hackathon deadline. So we had many people submitting their WASMs at the same time. So that caused quite some load, but our system withstood that quite well. Now, in the end of February, we also added user accounts to ICP Ninja. So users can now sign in, and that gives them a few additional features. And since we've rolled that out, we have today around 650 registered users. In green, you can see the internet identity users, and in blue, the ones coming from GitHub. So rough 50-50 split. And finally, if you sign in ICP Ninja, you can save your project. That allows you to continue on another device or return to your project from a different browser or from your phone. And so we have around 200 saved projects there. And you can also share a project in ICP Ninja. That way, anybody with a short link can access your project. And there we are happy to report that we have over 500 projects that have been shared on ICP Ninja. Now that already brings me to the end of this little refresher. I hope you liked it. And here is our website, icp.ninja. Go check it out and deploy a canister today. Back to you, David.
Thanks a lot. I can only second Elias' recommendation to try it out today. A really great way to try things out and get things off the ground quickly. So follow the link and try it out. Next up is Andrew on HostOS upgrades. Take it away.
I'll be giving a brief update on the latest HostOS upgrade. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the headline, which is that we've successfully completed the third ever HostOS upgrade on the IC, and the first one in 9 months. So very happy about this. And you might be wondering to yourself, what exactly is HostOS again? And if so, that's okay. If you go to the next slide, quick reminder on all the OSs that are on the IC, at least the 3 that no team oversees. I'm ignoring the boundary OSs, but there's SetupOS, HostOS, and GuestOS. SetupOS is the installation image that node providers use to onboard to the IC, and it installs HostOS, which runs on the host machine, and it launches the GuestOS virtual machine. And GuestOS, of course, runs inside the virtual machine, and it's what executes the core IC protocol. So most all of you only think and live in the GuestOS world, or really like the replica world. But HostOS, of course, serves a very important function on the IC. So you're probably all familiar with subnet upgrades. Subnet upgrades, they're effectively GuestOS upgrades. When we do a GuestOS release, we upgrade them on a subnet level. So we put out a new version, it's approved by the NNS, and then a subnet is updated to that latest GuestOS version. All the nodes come down, come up with the new version. HostOS upgrades are a little different. We do them on a node and or data center level. So instead of upgrading a whole subnet to a new HostOS version, we update a specific node or an entire DC if we'd like to. And the reason we do this is because HostOS upgrades take much longer than GuestOS upgrades. GuestOS upgrades take like a minute, where HostOS upgrades take several minutes because the machine itself has to actually reboot as opposed to a virtual machine. So for this reason, we can target an individual node in a subnet, and then like the 12 out of 13 nodes in a subnet can stay up. Only the one node goes down to upgrade, comes back up, and we have no subnet downtime. So it's a bit more labor intensive for our friends at DRE who are putting out these proposals to upgrade the nodes, but it means no subnet downtime, which is great. If you go to the next slide, you still might be wondering why exactly do HostOS upgrades matter if the core IC protocol mainly exists within GuestOS. And it's true, GuestOS is where the core protocol lives, but there is important logic that exists within HostOS, which I won't get into. But yeah, we have features and fixes to push to HostOS, and critically, we can roll out an emergency HostOS upgrade in the case of a security vulnerability. So it's important for us to be comfortable with doing these HostOS upgrades in the event of an emergency. And these HostOS upgrades also means we can have more consistency of HostOS versions on mainnet. One quirk of the way we do onboarding to the IC is we put out a weekly setupOS release, and when no providers use this setupOS release, whatever version they use is the version of HostOS that is installed. So because of this, even though like the last HostOS upgrade we did was 9 months ago, since then we've done many setupOS releases, and we got to a point where we had like over 30 HostOS versions on mainnet, which isn't great. But now that we're going to have more regularly scheduled HostOS upgrades, this won't happen anymore. We'll have much less variation in HostOS versions. And the new plan is to roll them out around every few months. I would hope no more than 3 months, but I'll leave that to DRE, their discretion. If you go to the next slide, quick note on the work to get to this HostOS upgrade. We had a lot of failures to address from the last HostOS upgrade. We also had to improve our system tests. Critically, we added a system test ensuring that the latest release can do a HostOS upgrade to the current branch version. And we also spent a lot of time improving and automating the HostOS procedure. And we're now doing a weekly HostOS release. A release, not an upgrade exactly. So even though we're putting out a HostOS version every week that the NS would approve on, we plan to only spend the time to upgrade all the nodes on the IC to the latest HostOS version every few months or so. But having this release being put out weekly is great. Or that's all of it. If you go to the next slide, big thank you to DRE and IDX. DRE for, of course, facilitating the rollout itself, and IDX for helping us troubleshoot a lot of flakiness and issues with our system tests as we were implementing them. That's everything. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. Really great to hear that nodes on the IC are now also up to date regarding the HostOS and will also be kept up to date moving forward. That's a really great thing to have. Next up, we are going to demos. And the first demo is about the new ICP dashboard. It's presented by Artem and Dylan.
Hey everyone, as you might have seen, the Internet Computer Dashboard just got the first major update. I'm Artem. I'm a design lead for this project at Dfinity, and I'd like to introduce you our design logic, our approach, and some design principles that we put into this. And Dylan will do the actual demo. So next slide, please. So dashboard was always known as a reliable source of truth for all kind of data, ICP related, probably almost everything. But with a bunch of data and charts, there were a couple of things that were off. And over time, by accumulating all these charts and data, these pieces were not connected together into a single picture. Raw data didn't provide answers or insights to users, and ICP itself as a protocol evolved a lot and ecosystem developed, but the dashboard was not highlighting it enough. So in order to address this, we had to rearrange quite a few things. For this, we looked into all the pages, into all the charts, making sure that nothing is lost or forgotten. We went through a gigadoc, I'd say, with the feedback and requests from the dashboard team. Thank you for collecting all this. And we had a bunch of sessions with the head of product to connect all these dots into areas of interests and understand what kind of insights we can actually deliver to users. Next slide, please. One of the logical implications could be that you might notice like navigation got way simpler. So we now outline areas of interest, global areas, allowing users to dive deeper into this. Next slide, please. So now thinking about the dashboard not as a tool that only allow you to verify data, but it can also be a tool that allow to explore things or gain insights. How can we make this data more engaging? And this is how the flow actually might look like. A person might land on the page, see like what's happening on the internet computer right now, or I see this subnet. It seems busy. What's causing it? Clicking on a subnet, going deeper. What's on this subnet? What is this canister that is causing this load? It's an SNS. Okay, what is this? DAO, interesting. Do they have a token? And so on and so forth. So that way we can guide the user through all kind of things, connecting all the pieces together. Next slide, please. Yes. So as I mentioned, ICP evolved a lot, and ecosystem actually bring most of the activity and insights. We are thinking on how to highlight active projects, how to provide a way for users to learn more, maybe even learn what's trending and get early enough into projects, highlight how many users certain projects have, what canisters they run on, and so on and so forth. Currently, we are only providing a stage for projects, kind of allowing to digest them, but in the future, we might introduce a way better and insightful discovery features. Next slide, please. With this redesign, actually, what we found interesting and exciting, that turning raw blockchain data into stories and insights has a side effect, even reframing the narrative. Small details like when instead of saying that we have that many node providers or that many data centers, we add countries, flags, we show it on a map, allowing to actually scroll through subnets. We started seeing on social medias that people started recognizing it and saying like, hey, that actually helps with the decentralization. Look at this. Or instead of saying like trillions of cycles used for computation, we show something human readable, like a connection to dollar values. And people actually started tweeting that, hey, look at this. It's actually, you can compare it for a whale buying like millions of ICPs every month and burning them or staking forever. We immediately started seeing people sharing all kind of insights even before we announced it on socials. And next slide. And generally, we were very pleased and surprised by perception by community, a ton of great feedback, and we are very grateful for this. Next slide. Of course, it was a huge teamwork on all the fronts. Thanks everyone involved. From the design side, it was me helping with the design direction and Misha turning everything into an updated design system and beautiful flows. Of course, without the engineering team, we couldn't brought this thing to life. Thanks Dylan and Jeff for leading the engineering work. Our front-end magicians, Fulk, Robert, and Matthew, and folks who helped on the backend, Gurav and Tony. And yeah, hope it gives you an idea on what we tried to package into the dashboard and what you can expect next. And with this, I'd give Dylan a stage to present it.
Time for the demo. So let's get started where most users get started, here on the home page. And before, the old home page was essentially a wall of charts, tables, and network stats. And we wanted to get away from that and provide more of a high-level overview of everything that's on the internet computer, like an entry point to allow users to drill down into more details as needed. As Artem discussed, something we wanted to do with the redesign is shift focus away from the raw data and more to the ICP ecosystem. And you'll see here at the top that we show SNS DAOs, we show ecosystem projects. Other things on this page, we show like the latest news, NS proposals. We also show the total dollar value raised by all SNS projects, which is pretty cool. So let's click on this decentralized network card to go over to the new network page. So the new network page provides an aggregated view of ICP's infrastructure, performance, and decentralization. And it helps answer two key questions. Is the internet computer decentralized? And how's the network performing? We created this hero section to show the decentralization of the internet computer visually. And this was designed with TVs in mind. It's already being displayed on the TVs in Zurich and the San Francisco offices. The globe can be manually rotated. It could be zoomed in and out. The zooming is useful for mobile where it makes it easier to select the markers. The markers represent data centers containing ICP nodes, and the markers with like the little plus sign in them mean that they have more than one data center at that location. We can take a look at one. So here we can see that Seoul has 3 different data centers. They each have like a different data center owner, and like each one has one node provider. And here we could see in Seoul 2, we could see that it has 9 replica nodes and 1 API boundary node. And over on this other side, we see the decentralization card, which controls which markers are highlighted on the globe and can be toggled to show what we call different network zones. So right now, all subnets are being shown. And you could see that there are 571 node machines, 92 node providers, 79 data centers, and so on across all the subnets. If we click the next button, it switches to API boundary nodes. And then you can see the API boundary nodes highlighted on the globe. And you can notice that Seoul, where we just were looking at, that we saw had an API boundary node, is one of the ones highlighted because that's part of the API boundary nodes. Clicking the next button again brings us to an application subnet. But let's take a look at the NNS subnet instead. And to do that, we can open this menu here. And so the menu shows all the network zones and their Nakamoto coefficients, which I'll talk about in a second. I'll quickly search for the NNS subnet here using the search box and then close this. And so now the card is showing the NNS subnet. And when selecting nodes for subnets, the goal is to maximize decentralization. A Nakamoto coefficient is a measurement of decentralization. It represents the number of unique entities required to take control of subnet. So the large number on the card shows the average Nakamoto coefficient across all categories, along with the maximum possible value, 13. And the bars show how close each category is to the highest possible decentralization for the subnet. For Nakamoto coefficients, higher is better. So we can hover over these bars to see more details, and we can see what the categories are. There are node providers, data centers, data center owners, regions, and countries. And this also shows the maximum, which is 13. So you could see node providers out of 13 is 11, data centers 12, data center owners 12. And you could see that the NNS subnet has a little bit of room for improvement here with these coefficient numbers. These Nakamoto coefficients are used when selecting nodes for subnets. And you could find discussions about this in the various forum threads where subnet management proposals are discussed. In addition to selecting a network zone using these previous next buttons, like I've shown, and the menu, my favorite part is this play button, where you can press play and cycle through the network zones automatically. You can sit back and see each subnet highlighted on the globe with its decentralization info here on the card. So as like a sped up version of this, I can just click the next button repeatedly. I just think that's so cool to see them highlighted like that. So the cycle burn rate, as Arda mentioned, we're showing it now in dollar value per day, which has been a popular feature already with the community. And that dollar value has grown significantly over time. If you looked back in like August or something, it would be a lot lower than that. Further down the page is more information about the network, a partial list of subnets, cards for data centers, node providers, and node machines, And here's also where you can find a lot of the charts that used to be on the old homepage. They're now here on the network page. Let's click View above the subnets table to go to the new subnets page, where here you'll also see information about decentralization. And you could hover over that to see the Nakamoto details. And we also have 4 columns related to the load of subnets: state, canisters, transactions, and compute load. And you see, let's sort on one of them. We can sort on compute load and see which subnets are executing the most instructions. The bars here show how close the subnet is to the limit for that metric. There are hard limits, like 1 terabyte of state or 120,000 canisters. And then we use some soft limits just to define the scale of these bars. Like for transactions, we use 1,000 transactions per second. And for compute load, we use 8,000 MEPS. So you can also sort by the number of canisters or by this state. And a developer can use this table to help select which subnets to deploy canisters to. The table even shows which subnets are public and which are just for authorized principals only. The dashboard now has a table of ICP ecosystem tokens on the new tokens page, and we can use the new menu system to get there. So previously, the token data was kind of scattered around the dashboard in different sections, like the ICP section, the SNS section, Chain Fusion section. But now we have all the tokens here in one place. You can also view just the chain key tokens or just the SNS tokens by using the filters above the table. And this page is a work in progress. We're soon going to be incorporating price data and adding more tokens. I saw maybe there was a question in the chat about more tokens. And so like ICRC tokens other than just the SNS and the chain key tokens. And you'll be able to sort the table by the FDV or the trading volume in US dollars. So that was just showing what we've released so far. This is just the first of many redesign releases. We have lots of exciting stuff planned, and we're just getting started. And we always welcome your feedback, so please give feedback on the developer forum, and that'd be great. That's it for me. Back to you, David.
Thanks a lot. Wow, really impressive improvements. Congrats everybody involved in this project. I've already spent some time playing around with it, and I really like it, so really nice. And with that, we get to the last demo of this Global R&D. It's a community demo by ckBoost. Do you want to share the screen yourself, or should I present the next slide?
Cool. I'll share.
Okay, perfect. I'm stopping.
First of all, hello. I'm Leon, and I'm the author of the project. Oh, second, yeah. Screen shared, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm the author of the project ckBoost, and ckBoost was originally the hackathon project built until 25, which took place on the beginning of the April. Let's start with project intro. So ckBoost. Probably many of you already remember the name from some of the previous conversations across the ICP ecosystem, forums, etc. So when I started participating in the hackathon, I directly went and picked this project as my project to build on the hackathon. Now, let's jump to the problem. Currently, when users want to bridge Bitcoin into internet-computer network, they have to wait for ping 6 confirmations, which is a lot. Like it's about an hour waiting time, and it's pretty annoying. And on the other hand, besides being annoying, it's quite hard to build some cool default products using CK assets because of the long waiting times. And that's the problem that ckBoost is addressing and solving. What we're doing is we allow users to request a boosted deposit, and we allow liquidity providers to front ckBTC to the user that requested the boost. And liquidity providers are basically taking the fee for this service. As a result, users are happy because their waiting time is reduced from 6 confirmations to 1 or 2 confirmations, or even 0 confirmations in some cases. And on the other hand, liquidity providers also get to earn some additional fees for the service. So project and product is quite simple to use. I can simply describe the user flows. What happens is user connects with the wallet, requests the boost with specified amount and the max percentage they want to pay. We generate ckBoost canister. We generate deposit address for Bitcoin, and user transfers the Bitcoin. On the other side, boosters have allocated some liquidity to the ckBoost canister, and they get to pick the transactions they want to boost, and like they assess their own risk, decide if it's worth or not boosting specific requests, and if they are okay with the request, they boost it. User gets the ckBTC right away, and the boosters can reclaim ckBTC when the standard deposit process finishes after 6 confirmations. Now, the best way to present the project is not by telling, but by showing it. So I'm gonna jump to the demo, which is probably better. Oh, this is content which is used by the users. It can be accessed through testnet.ckboost.com, and it redirects to the proper canister. Let me check. Yeah, the user can connect the wallet, and we have very nice wallet page. This is for demo purposes. It shows the CK test BTC balance and the ICP balance. Well, it's working and it's real balances. User can see their transaction history, like the requests they created, deposit addresses associated with each request, how much they did to again, fee that they paid, and the main part is boost. So in order to create a boost request, the user tells the ckBoost canister how much they are willing to spend. Let's say 1 Bitcoin. They are specifying the maximum fee they want to pay, and they are requesting the deposit address. Let's see. Okay, we got the Bitcoin address. Right now, it's working with the test BTC, so this is testnet 4 address. Let's stop here and let's look at the second part of our project, which is liquidity provider. This is liquidity provider dashboard. And liquidity providers can deposit ckBTC, well, in this case, ck test BTC, or withdraw it from their provided liquidity. Let's say I want to add 4 more ck test BTC to the liquidity. Oh. Okay, now I have 11 ckBTC provided. And I also built the web interface in order for liquidity providers to see, like, if they're willing to do it manually, to see what are the requests that need accepting. Like basically they can see the deposit address, they can see the amount, they can see the fee, and they have the accept boost button, which they can press based on their actual preferences. Now, second way that liquidity providers will most likely work is having an automated process that assesses the risks for them and does all this stuff automatically. So here I have a running version of one second. Client, running version of central client that is approving all the boost requests as soon as it sees the transaction in the mempool corresponding to the request. So basically it waits to the moment when user deposits a Bitcoin to the Bitcoin deposit address, and it says that, okay, let's boost this request because eventually it will get to the ICP network and I will reclaim it later. Of course, this is for demo purposes because we couldn't wait for 10 or 20 minutes for confirmations here. So right now we have this pending boost request. What I'll do, I'll just send Bitcoin here. Oh, okay. Let's just create a new. Oh. Yeah. I'll just send, let's say, 1.2 Bitcoin here. This is test Bitcoin. And we can see that Booster will, it's already picked it up. That's nice. This was already accepted. That's cool. So now if we go to the user's side, we see that our new request was approved. And if we go to the wallet, we can see that, hey, the user got their CK test BTC. And after 6 confirmations, once the CK test BTC mint canister meets the Bitcoin or CK test BTC, my script will go and reclaim it in their account. That's basically it. Also, in order to make it easy for everyone to test out the project, this week or maybe end of the last week, we decided to bring up the faucet that will give you some CK test BTC and test that for BTC. You can use it as much as you want. It's loaded. So it will be great if you can test it out and provide some feedback. And meanwhile, we will do some security audits and prepare for mainnet launch. Thank you very much. That's me, and was my demo.
Thanks a lot for the awesome demo, and really nice to see this project evolve and kind of seeing it live, how it works. Really cool stuff and really much needed in the ecosystem. So thanks a lot. And with that, we are already at the end of today's Global R&D. Thanks again to all the speakers, and also thanks to all the attendees for listening in. And with that, have a nice day and see you next time.